All right, it's time to go grab your coffee, your coquita, your tía la más chismosa, even if it's your mama. Let's get into it. 7 years ago, on August the 3rd of 2019, at around 10:30 in the morning, a normal Saturday morning, our cousins, tias, tios, they were out here doing some back to school shopping. They were going to the mall, Walmarts, and that day turned into one of the most, if not the most, darkest days to follow for a lot of our El Pasoans. This ended up hurting so many lives. It ruined so many lives. Within minutes, within seconds, people lost their lives. Mexicans were targeted, children included. But what happened leading up to the shooting? What happened leading up to this? This is a true crime story of the El Paso Walmart shooter, Patrick Wood Cruces, whatever the fuck his name is. So, do you remember what you were doing that day? I do. I remember because it was so crazy. Like it was such a crazy morning because I was driving. I was coming from the far east towards Socorro, and I just started seeing a lot of cop cars, a shitload of cop cars, like they were all racing almost. And you can even notice like the undercovers because they were the only motherfuckers chasing El Paso PD. And I was crossing the spaghetti bowl, and there was just cops in every entrance going towards Central, going towards the Trevino and all that area. And, we just started hearing the radio that there's like something is going on in the mall, something is going on at Walmart or something. Everybody's confused. Um, everybody's scared. Nobody knows what's going on, to be exact. I don't remember. I remember hearing so many stories. Like, I remember seeing this post, this post, this post. Like, what the fuck? So recently, I saw this post. No, I saw this podcast. I think it was a true crime podcast too, but I didn't get the name. But I saw the comments, and the fucking comments just pissed me off because a lot of people were trying to defend him in a way because they were saying that it was not a hate crime because El Paso is full of Mexicans. So how can it be a hate crime if we're just full of Mexicans? And that's the knowledge of a lot of people that I was seeing that they were comment on this. This person wasn't from El Paso, that's for sure. I don't know who he was or where he was from, but all the fucking comments, bro, I was like, I know he's not from El Paso because a lot of people would have been dead ass not commenting that shit. So, why am I convinced that it was a fucking hate crime? Because it's already fucking proven. I guess people haven't really looked into it. Like maybe people that are not from El Paso, they're I don't know, maybe they haven't seen the interrogation. I don't know. But I went into YouTube and there's the interrogation, the full interrogation. Um, it's the interrogation of, fuck, I forgot the name. I didn't write it down, but you can literally just YouTube it, and it's the interrogation of the El Paso Walmart shooter. Um, it began with this man walking into Walmart by the Cielo Vista Mall That's how a lot of people know this Walmart. He went in there, bought some oranges, and ate a couple of them near the entrance of the door, and literally said, "Screw it, here will do." He walked back outside to his car, got his weapon out of his trunk, and this man walked back into Walmart. And as he was walking into Walmart, he began to shoot victims in the parking lot. He went into the store, continued shooting inside, where he found people waiting online to pay with their family members. No fucks given that there was kids, adults, no, I mean elderlies. No fucks given that there was family in there. It this lasted about 3 minutes. The shooting lasted about 3 minutes, which I promise you probably felt like a whole fucking lifetime for the victims. After leaving the store, he fired at a car that was just passing by, killing the driver. He then ran into his car and he left the scene, leaving 23 people. It was actually 22 people at the time, eventually turning into 23 people who were killed. About 22 others were injured. So many lives changed after that. I don't care what anybody says. I didn't even want to go into a Walmart after that. I didn't even have kids that back then. And when I started having my kids after that, I didn't even want to, I even up to this day, I don't want to take them to, even though I do, every time I don't want to take them to a Walmart no more. Hell no. These people were back to school shopping. And you know what? I can't even get into the details. I can't. But there was people running everywhere, hiding inside any room they can find. The bank, behind the registers, in the restrooms. You could see people helping each other escape, pulling people with them, strangers helping strangers. The first 911 call was placed at 10:39 in the morning. It took him less than 10 minutes to ruin so many lives. Law enforcement took about 6 minutes to get to the scene, so unfortunately, he did have time to escape the scene. But shortly after, he was stopped by a motorcycle, a Paso police officer, and a Texas Ranger. And he actually turned himself in, like he didn't really fight. He just turned himself in. He told the officer that he did it multiple times. And detectives went straight into interrogating this man after reading him his rights. So this man bounced around from his parents to his grandparents in Dallas, Texas. He didn't have a job, didn't attend college, didn't have a girlfriend. His last friend he was in contact with was 3 years prior to the shooting, like in high school. The night before the shooting, he says that he was at his grandparents' house. And according to him, that night he couldn't sleep because he was thinking violent thoughts. Supposedly, he had already been seeing a therapist regarding these thoughts. And maybe it's true because I found that this guy was like diagnosed with schizophrenia or something. I didn't really get into his medical. Um, in his interview he mentioned that he was diagnosed with autism. He kept saying that he was on the spectrum, but I couldn't really find anything regarding that. All I really found was that he was diagnosed with schizophrenia, so I'm not really too sure. Um, but also this is shit that we've seen or heard in other interrogations, you know. They wanna become like, or they se quieren hacer los locos. He later on, that same night, he left when his grandparents were sleeping. He came to El Paso in his own car. It was just him and his AK-47 and the ammo. It's worth to mention in the interrogation, he said that he had already given away all his stuff to the Goodwill before the shooting. He packed up his AK. It was actually it was shipped by Romania that he bought offline, registered under his name. I didn't know you can do that. He purchased the weapon 1 to 2 months before the shooting and the ammo before he bought the gun. I don't know, and he doesn't either. He doesn't remember when he got the ammo, but all he knows is that he bought it a long time before the gun. The shooter said that he decided to come to El Paso basically because it was the farthest from Dallas. It was across the border with Mexicans, and he didn't want to traumatize his parents. He'd rather traumatize the rest of the world. He had stopped at a Walmart close to Dallas, close to his house, before leaving. He got some coffee and I believe something to eat. It took him 10 hours to get here. 10 hours that he could have used to calm the fuck down. But no, he actually was very patient with this. He was taking pit stops to get energy drinks, restroom, and when he got to El Paso, he drove around for a bit and he stopped at a pizzeria. I don't know which one, but he stopped at a pizza place. It was closed. He drove around for a bit, got lost in a residential area, and that's when he googled Walmart because he was hungry. Right? He said he was hungry. In the middle of the interrogation, he said that that's why he started googling Walmart because he was hungry. And he says he doesn't really he at that moment he says that he didn't really remember much leading up to the shooting. He didn't know how many people he injured or he killed, but he did say that when he was searching for the Walmart, they did ask him, "Did you choose that Walmart because it was closest to you?" But no, he said that he chose that Walmart because it was the first one that popped up. That's the only reason why he went there, which maybe it was the closest to him, I'm not sure, but he stopped along. Basically, it's on the highway and it was the first one that popped up. He says that he didn't remember much leading up to the shooting. He didn't know how many people he injured or how many people he killed. But he did say that he targeted Mexicans because he was bullied by Mexicans in high school. He said, I guess I just have a problem with them. The detectives made sure to ask him if his intent was to specifically target Mexicans, and he said yes multiple times because throughout the whole 59-minute, almost an hour interrogation, they left 3 times, gave him a break. And in those 3 different times, they asked him multiple times if that's why he came here because El Paso is full of Mexicans. And They kept asking him, like, so basically you're targeting Hispanics. Basically, you're targeting Mexicans. They worded it in so many different ways, getting the same response every time. Yes, yes, yes. During this time, he said that he had called 911 himself to turn himself in, and that the 911 operators didn't answer. And to be honest with you, I kind of believe it because at that moment, I'm 100% sure that you had people calling left and right. Honestly, like, I feel like there was maybe some truth to it because if I mean, it's coming out in the radio, it's coming out in the news, it's so, I just maybe they had too many callers. At this point, everybody's inside calling 911. They asked him for his number to verify, and he had posted something on a site called 4chan, or he said it's called 4chan. When I searched the name, it's also saying 8chan. I'm not too sure which one it is. I didn't really Google it, um, the site. But he titled it An Inconvenient Truth. I believe it was like he had posted something in this he had posted like a status. I don't know how that shit works. And he didn't even explain it that well either. So he posted something under that post, like under that thread. He posted like a PDF, or it was, and I could not for the life in me fucking find it anywhere. Well, the completed one at least. I did find some parts of it, but to be honest, it was just I didn't find a complete, truthful PDF file or something that had his real, true words. But it is along the lines of he characterized himself as a white nationalist motivated to kill Hispanics because they were immigrating to the United States. He admitted to selecting El Paso, a border city, to as his target to Mexicans and other Hispanic immigrants coming to the United States. He posted this because he thought he was going to either get shot down or he was going to commit suicide. Except in his own words, he was too coward to do that. Including he had a suicide note in his car with a flash drive. In that flash drive, there was a copy of the PDF file of the explanation of why he did it because he didn't want to seem like a white supremacist. And also, he posted that post right before the shooting, but the post was written out a week before the shooting. He wrote down his plan in a fucking library and emailed the plan to himself. The shooter was asked if he was alone in this, and he said yes. One thing I thought was weird was how, like, the detective asked him if he, told somebody about his plan. He said no. And he was asked, like, are you close to anybody? Like, maybe your dad? And he said, no, we're not. And the detective again was like, maybe you're close to him, you talk to him about, stuff. And he was like, no, but I guess he would think like that. So before the shooting, he was actually training on how to shoot. He was training a few times to learn how to shoot up to the day before the shooting. except that day, he said that he didn't end up going into the club, because, well, into the shooting range, because the prices went up and he didn't want to pay. So he didn't end up shooting that day. But also, I want to mention that his dad, I think he said he was a psychologist. He was a psychologist, a counselor. And you know what bothers me the most is that he was hungry at that point, like at that point of driving, and that's when he searched for the Walmart and picked the fucking first option closest to him. It just bothers me how calm and like, oh, I'm hungry. I'm gonna go and fucking stop here. And meanwhile, you're thinking that Patrick Crucis was sentenced to 90 consecutive life sentences for carrying out a mass shooting at the El Paso Vista Walmart in El Paso, Texas on August the 3rd, 2019, killing 23 people and injuring 22 more. He pleaded guilty, and 6 years later, 6 fucking years later, was finally sentenced. And he's currently incarcerated at the Skyview unit in Rusk, Texas. Honestly, I barely got through this video. It was really hard. But I want to know opinions on the dumbass comments. That is not from El Pasoans, bro. What the fuck? Am I wrong? Am I tripping?